Welcome to the North Carolina Council for Social Studies Connections, a collective podcast for NC social studies teachers. Each episode features insightful interviews with experienced educators, curriculum specialists, and thought leaders who have dedicated their careers to enriching social studies education. Together, we'll explore best practices and tips for addressing the unique challenges that come with teaching the ever-evolving subject of social studies.
Hello, I'm thrilled to have you join us today as we explore the fascinating world of social studies education throughout North Carolina. I'm your host, Dr. Travis Towne, and today we are joined by Dr. Jenny Gallagher and Jason Dustin. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So, Dr. Gallagher, why don't you introduce us and tell us a little bit more? We're on the ECU campus. We just got done with a class on economics and personal finance for the history department, the history education program. This is at the ECU School of Education. So, Dr. Gallagher, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Jenny Gallagher. I'm an associate professor of social studies education here at ECU, and I'm a program coordinator for the secondary history education program. Our students here at ECU graduate with a bachelor's in history and history education.
Oh, that's really cool. We were just talking about it earlier. They graduate with both?
Yeah, they're double majors. Yep.
Okay. Is that something that the program itself it's a new thing, or do other schools do that?
It precedes my involvement in the program. Dr. Alan Guidry, I think, set it up with the collaboration with the history department here at ECU to make sure that our students were receiving both those majors.
Okay. So a little bit more about what you do on the daily basis.
Yeah, sure. I'm program coordinator, so I help place students into their internship. I oversee all the coursework that's in the history education program. I'm also a grad program coordinator for the CNI, the Curriculum and Instruction Masters of Education, that the concentration in social studies. So I have some master's students as well working on their MAED.
That's a lot of hats.
Yeah, it is. I'm really excited to be doing this work. I have been the program coordinator. This is my third year, and previous to me, Dr. Alan Guidry had been the program coordinator and the professor here for a long time, and he really did a lot of work to substantiate the program as one of the largest and the best, I think, in the state. So I'm really excited to be working with these secondary high school, soon-to-be high school teachers.
That's awesome. So, Jason, you're joining us tonight. You've just been through a class. Unfortunately, you had to sit through one of Dr. Towne's classes. But I'm glad you're not bored out of your tree yet. A little bit. You stayed to be a part of the podcast, so I appreciate that. So, Jason, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm in my junior year technically here. I'm a transfer. I went to college a little bit while I was in the Marine Corps. I'm a student veteran. Served for 4 years down at Lejeune.
Thanks for your service.
And, thank you as well. Generally, I'm just excited to start getting into the the more upper division. I just got admitted. I got my email the other day, so happy to be here.
That's awesome. So you decided to go into the program. Why? What made you want to become a history teacher?
One of my life dreams was being in the military, and then being a teacher was my second one. I got injured, so I couldn't really continue being in the Marine Corps. So once I got out, decided to, go on to the second dream, see how that goes. Okay. Less chance for injury.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. So you just got through this this program tonight, and we were talking about economics and personal finance, but this class that you've taken has been about civic literacy, and then we rolled into economics and personal finance. What are some of the things that some of your takeaways that you're excited about learning or teaching or doing, or even talking about the program itself as the ECU side of the house?
Generally, whenever it comes to the programs, I always seem to get a really good expansive knowledge whenever it comes to teaching and pedagogical knowledge. Lots of ways to instruct, and even lots of resources that I can use whenever I actually get out into the teaching field, which is really useful, or even whenever it comes to internship 1 and 2, which I'm always thankful for. And I'm trying to think about what else I can say to that, to be honest.
Well, and is there anything, have you guys started doing thoughts about internships? Have you thought about where you want to be placed for your student teaching?
Generally somewhere in the Greenville area. I'm good with any school. I would prefer to do economics. It's a big thing for me. I really enjoyed teaching like a lot of my junior Marines about economics, as whenever I went in, it seemed like a lot of people didn't even allocate the 401k. So
You're exactly right, and they're doing it. DoD is doing a really big push right now to get financial education to these young soldiers, Marines, sailors, because it is such a crucial part of that learning that I think we've lost a little bit about that. Jenny, tell us a little bit about some of the goals of the program, some of the things that you're really passionate about.
Yeah, the program is really focused on helping our students serve the populations and the communities that they'll be teaching in. And so there's a focus on making sure that they are prepared not only to teach history, which they also get that double major in, but to teach all the social studies, which they'll be licensed in. Our program serves and supports most of the eastern districts in the state. And I think we put out the largest number of social studies teachers in the state. And a lot of those students go to these eastern rural school districts. A couple major focuses of the program are to think about how to help students for them to help their students think about how to engage in a democracy. We talk about the primary purpose of social studies being in the classroom to support democracy and to think about how each of our social sciences that we're teaching in the subject do support a robust and rigorous and diverse democracy, and how different lenses, disciplinary lenses, can lend themselves into inquiring about such things as, what kinds of principles are important to think about when we are thinking about how to improve our democracy. There's also a large focus on diverse perspectives and making sure our students are going into classrooms being prepared to present multiple perspectives on different questions and topics. And really a heavy focus on pedagogy that's diverse, making sure they have lots of tools in their tool belt when they go into the classroom to think about what's the best pedagogical strategy for the goal that I have, and making sure that you're, of course, supporting the standards in that as well.
Yeah, that's huge. And I heard you say tonight, to the class as a whole, history is much more than just the teaching of the history topics. It's, as a history teachers, I know that I'm dealing, even as an economics teacher or a civics teacher, I'm dealing with so much more than just the historical relevance. I need to know that and I need to teach that, but I'm teaching some life skills of civil discourse, being able to be in the same room with people that maybe you don't agree with or have a lot of different viewpoints that may not be the same. And so it sounds like you guys are doing some really cool aspects of that, which is really good, because when I get, we are a product at the early college of one of your teachers to come and talk with us. Zach Pierce is one of our teachers now. He was underneath me for a student teacher, and then we hired him because he was that good, and he came from the program here. What are some of the things, Jason, that you have learned? I know that you kind of just got into this next level or next section of your career here at the ECU, but what are some of the things you're excited about doing in the teaching field?
Generally, I'm just excited to get in there with the students and actually instruct and put forth everything that I'm learning. Like Dr. Gallagher kind of like hinted at it, but there's a lot of inquiry or like thinking that they're trying to put forth through us to actually get students thinking instead of just blurting out like vocab, like, hey, this means this, instead of like thinking, oh, why does this mean this? Or let's see, why does democracy matter? Why do we have, separation of powers, checks and balances? There's so much that goes into it. So whenever it comes to actually just applying it, that's what I look forward to the most.
Okay. Are there some difficulties that you've seen in the past few years? Obviously, we've hit COVID stuff, and we've got a new generation of teachers and students that are coming into the classroom. What's been the most difficult thing to manage and navigate, Dr. Gallagher, about just this program?
Well, our students are really amazing here. I love to tout all the wonderful things about them. They do a really great job, and we have wonderful cooperating teachers who, welcome them into their classroom like it sounds like you did, that they pick up a lot of really important tools and skills from their time in internship. I think one thing that I've found that my students sometimes struggle with until they really get into that internship to classroom is really understanding the creativity that goes into teaching.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's because they've grown up in a standards movement where they've experienced more standardized tests than I did maybe growing up. But this idea that they will have a little bit of flexibility and freedom to figure out how they should teach to these standards, and to really help them understand that they will enjoy their job and their students will enjoy being in their classroom more the more creative they are with their lesson planning and with the resources they're using and the pedagogical strategies they're using. So that creativity piece, I think, is not talked about enough in teacher ed, and I think I always try to encourage my students to really lean into that a little bit more, and even lean into things that they may be liking or the hobbies of theirs, and how they can integrate those things in the classroom. I love Americana music, and so I've been trying to show my teacher education students how even Americana music, there's a lot to talk about social studies within the lyrics and the songs that are coming out today and of yesterday.
That's awesome. So what are some of the things, Jason, that maybe some of the challenges that you've faced just kind of being new to the teaching world, and perhaps you had another career, but you're now wanting to be a teacher. What are some of the challenges you think you're facing?
Definitely, funnily enough, I actually talked with Dr. Gallagher about this with my upper division interviews, but she mentioned it here. Creativity. All of my classes growing up throughout high school, middle school, pure lecture.
Yeah.
Maybe you'd be lucky to get like a video one day and it'd be like the most insane thing ever. It'd be like, oh my gosh, something different. So definitely keeping like that creative hat on, especially whenever it comes to like having a more disciplined audience, because in the military there's a lot more discipline involved. Yes sir, no sir type stuff. So trying to motivate the students to actually want to learn and give them something that they can take throughout their life, or something that can be useful, especially through civic literacy and economics. I mean, there's tons to learn there.
Now, I'm a little biased, but I think those are two of the most important courses that we're going to be able to have for those students. Now, I know that most programs follow a similar pattern, but what kind of sets ECU apart, maybe on a teacher education, specifically history education program? Tell us maybe if somebody's kind of thinking about doing different ones, and I might get shot for this, but I mean there's other ones around the state, but you're the closest to me, and so we're going to talk about you.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think our program stands out because for a number of reasons. One being our close relationships with our surrounding districts provide us the ability to give our students multiple experiences in the classroom. They'll have an early experience practicum, which Jason has probably already done last year.
Dr. Morgan.
Great.
What was that? Explain that.
Yeah, so that was when they got to go out into the classroom, into a high school classroom, and do a number of observations to make sure that high school social studies teaching was the right career for them before they got too involved in the program and too far down the path. Next semester, we'll have another opportunity to go out. We have a partnership with South Central High School, and they'll go out and get a chance to do a little bit of co-teaching for about 5 weeks. Okay. And that's all before their internship starts.
Oh, wow.
Then next year, they'll get to do an internship 1, where they'll be in the classroom for 1 full day a week, and an internship 2 then when they'll be in the classroom for 5 days a week all day. So they get a lot of classroom experience, and we couldn't do that without the engagement of classroom teachers in the area who are willing to host practicum students and intern students as well. I think another thing that sets our program apart is the engagement with the history department. Our students feel just as much a student of history as they do a student of history education. They get that second major. They graduate with that on their degree as well, and they often will have communities around their history classes, just as they will in the history education courses. We also are cohorted, and so they get to know each other really well by the time they're graduating, and they really become a source of support for one another throughout their time here. And lastly, I'll say that our secondary social studies program right now is a traditional in-person program, but there are programs in the college-wide that really can cater to lots of different needs as far as how people want to become teachers. One of my favorite programs here is called Partnership Teach, which is a 2x2 program. Students complete their first 2 years at a community college and then come to ECU online in cohorts.
Okay.
We don't have one of those yet for secondary social studies. I'm hoping we can soon.
Well, that's cool. That's a really neat program, it sounds like. And of course, we've got you and I connected at the North Carolina Council for Social Studies conference that this year is coming up in February. And we were there. And we actually invite student teachers to be a part of that and teachers to, pre-service teachers to be involved in that. And I'd like to make sure that you know about those, because that is a neat way for you to see the bigger picture of so many teachers are teaching history or different types of that history curriculum, and there's a lot more of us than a lot of times we know about each other, and we're sometimes, unfortunately, in the eastern side of the county or the state. We don't realize that you got Raleigh and Charlotte Meck, and I mean, there's a lot of people on that side, on the western side, that we don't really ever come in contact with. So make sure you let everybody know about that. Let's kind of wrap up. Any final thoughts, Dustin Jason?
It's okay.
He's got 3 first name. What you got? Say Jason, Dustin. What's your other first name?
Alexander.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. All right. So Jason, what are some of your thoughts about even what you saw tonight? Maybe some of your experiences with some of your college classes that you've taken.
Honestly, all the teachers, or professors, I should say, really want to be here. They really want to help you and guide you on the right path and really instruct upon you what they think is the best way to teach, or some things that they took from their own experiences in teaching, and then instruct them to you. And I really take that to heart, and I really look forward to applying a lot of it whenever I get into my internship 1 and 2, and even next semester with my little co-teacher thing.
Awesome. All right, Dr. Gallagher?
Oh gosh, I actually just wanted to mention, because you mentioned the conference, that we actually just started a program where we will be bringing some of our teacher candidates to the conference this year. So I wanted to let the NCCSS community know that there will be at least 4 teacher candidates coming out with me in the spring to the conference.
Awesome.
And to look out for them. They'll be great representatives of our program. That'll be our seniors. Jason will be able to apply for that opportunity next year. Yeah.
Awesome. And he's like, oh, man. So final thoughts about maybe just some of your experiences with this program, why you're so passionate about this particular topic.
Yeah, I think I'm passionate. I've always been passionate about social studies. I'm a former social studies teacher myself. I'm very passionate about the purpose of it being to support democracy and to really help us understand the diversity and diverse perspectives within our democracy as well. I think I always get extra inspiration for this program when I hear from my own students about why they decided to become a teacher and kind of their own goals for going into the classroom. And then when I go out into the schools and see many of our graduates from this program and see what a great job they're doing to serve their schools and their students and their communities. So that always gives me extra added inspiration to come and do the work every day. And
it's not easy being a teacher. It really isn't. You got to kind of at this time of the year and life really think, okay, why am I doing this? And it's definitely not for the money, but it's definitely about the end legacy that you get to leave. And I think that's one of the things that I love being a teacher. Well, I'd like to thank you both for participating in this edition of NCCSS Connections, a collective podcast for North Carolina social studies teachers. To our listeners, as your host, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you who joined us. It's been an honor to explore the world of social studies education alongside such passionate and dedicated community of educators. I want to encourage each of you to keep the conversations going. Connect with your fellow educators, continue to seek new opportunities for growth, and share your expertise with the others. Remember that you are a vital part of shaping the future through the minds of your students. And of course, be sure to join us for new episodes of NCCSS Connections, where we continue an exciting journey together as we learn, grow, and collectively make a positive impact on future generations of North Carolina students. Till we meet again, remember that you are guiding minds, shaping futures, and empowering tomorrow's citizens. So do it well.